Hello and welcome back to another Demis Hellen tutorial. I'm going to demonstrate some of the sounds that come from the new pack that has just been released via the Spire website, so in the Spire store. So you can go and grab that now, that is in the link in the description, and it's all geared towards Euphoric Trance. So all the bass elements, I think apart from the sub, are part of this, so let's just solo this section here. Okay, so the first bass is called the roller. So that is the sound that you get here. It's nice and thick, it's got some nicely tuned elements in there, and just overall works really well as the starter bass, as you can see here. The mid bass, so too hard, and this one is using a lot of FM synthesis to kind of give you that grittier, harder sound for the mid-range area. So it's kind of automatically sitting in that area, so it sounds really good. Then the sub bass is just, I think it is Spire, but it's not a preset. As you can see here, it's just two oscillators, so we have the classic sine wave and then a saw wave here, and then they are just put through a filter, and that's pretty much it. Got a little bit of shape in there, and that's it. So that's just the sub bass, and then it's how it's processed to sit in the mix sounds better. And then the final one here, we have LD, I think it's hyperdrive. Yeah, so this is a lead, but I've pitched it down, and it just sounds quite nice. It just fit with the style and tone of the rest of the bass line. So if we put them all together, that's like the cherry on the cake, that LD hyperdrive. And then together with everything. Okay, so I just want to demonstrate a few more sounds. I think I've taken a couple from Spire. Yes, so Pluck Top Rider is another one, which sounds like this. Let's just pitch my keyboard up here. So it's quite a nice sound. It's really good for sitting on top of your mix as an intro melody, and that's teamed up with Plucks' Heaven, obviously, from Massive, to give it that softer tone. Alright, so other things that have come from the pack, so Acid here has come from there, and I think it's Acid last one, and this is just going through the arpeggiator here like this. And then just obviously automating the modulation there as well to obviously give you that classic acid effect. So this has taken a bit more of a back seat in this particular track, as it needed to. I wanted to focus more heavy on this and just the overall pace. Okay, so they are some of the sounds from the pack, and what we're going to do is we'll switch to another project now. Okay, here we are. We have the bank here, the Demis Hellen Euphoric Trance Essentials. So if you click on that, you'll see this plethora of presets that you can use in your track. So let's start with Good Feeling. We'll build sort of a melodic sequence with this, and then we'll see where it takes us from there. And I'll show you some of my favourite sounds as well. So that's the sound. I just want to filter that out. That's quite a nice little riff. I'm probably not going to remember that now. That's rule number one, always hit record. I've got a good idea of where it was. We need that click, it didn't start then. We'll start that again. Alright, so what I'll do is I'll give these away for free, so you can find these on the MIDI section on my website. As ever, I don't mind giving things away for free. But don't forget that there's also Patreon, where I give away free MIDIs based on your donations, your kind donations. So it's not a necessity, but it does help the channel stay here on YouTube. Right. So I've just quantized everything, and I'm just going to quantize the lengths, and then I'm just going to turn off quantization, snapping, sorry, and just shorten those notes a bit. Okay, that's sounding pretty good. It sounds like it needs to go somewhere else, but we're not going to work on that. We're looking at the sounds more than anything. So I'm just going to get rid of everything that's around it, and we'll give it a lovely colour of blue. Right, so we'll call this LD Good F. Don't forget to hit Shift. Right, so let's duplicate this track, and let's have a look at some other sounds. So we'll just mute the first one. So this is the second one, Listendale. Now that works a bit better in a lower, so 1 octave down. Sounds quite nice. It's got a lot of delay on it, so you could use it as more of an arpeggio sort of thing. Sounds quite nice. On Cliff. So let's use that one as our secondary, because it's got a really classic sound to it. I really like that one. It's very close to the same sound, but this one's got more of a kind of clicky, woody sound to it, whereas this one there's a little bit more clarity in it than what you would compare it to the other one. Right, so I'm just going to draw just the bass in between. So we are on G. So I'm just going to draw in between these notes. I know they're occupied here, but this is my fill in the gap technique. Okay. Right, and then from there, I think what we need to do is just fill in the gaps here at the bottom. So we look at the top now and fill these gaps. 2 more before the end of the bar. Oh, we've missed off the end of this section as well. So let's just do the top bit first. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it looks like we've got a set of 2. And then we've got 2 lots of 1, so we have this. And we'll move that up to A sharp. Alright, so let's just fill the rest of the gaps in there, because it's just exactly the same. Apart from F, it goes down to D. There we are. And we'll give it some trance sensation by actually putting it in the 1-3-8 area. So I want that one to have the power, this one to be the support in the background, and the bit that you probably hear more in the quieter zones. So them 2 sounds stack up nicely together. Let's fade them both in. So they sound really nice together, and if we listen to the timbre of each one on their own, it's thinner, and this one's got a lot more weight behind it. I know we have got the bass in there, but there's a lot more happening on that particular preset. Okay, so let's duplicate that again. And we are going to load a pluck sound for this one. So let's head down to the plucks here. There's a few good ones. So it's called Plastic Free because it's got that kind of plasticky feel to me. But that's not the one we're looking for. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. Something that's got a bit of a tail. So that's great for your bass area. Really nice sound to it there. Again, this one, it's got a good background noise. Now, Galaxy is one of my favourites. So we're going to use that one. It's got a little bit of pitch bending in there. It sounds quite nice when it's being played. So let's chuck down the cutoff. So remembering where we're starting. So okay, so let's just give that a recording. Okay, so it's not the strongest of melodies, but it's a melody nonetheless. Let's just have that a little bit more spaced out. So as you can see from the sound, there's not much bass in there, and I've tried to tailor it as much as possible to the kind of frequency range that you should operate in with these particular presets. So it gives you a good starting point, so you can build elements really quickly. So let's put some bass elements in. So I'm going to head towards Nipe. It's one of my favourites as well. Really good for like rolling basses. So let's do a rolling bass, as soon as we've got quite a fast-paced bass area in that other one. So in fact, let's just do the double instead of the triple note rolling bass. Let's just copy that over. See, straight away it just fits. It's that's just how I've designed it, so you can kind of drag and drop them in. Okay, so let's give this some movement. Right, so we have a little bit of movement there. So we're just going to remove that bassy part and just have them two parts in. So we can let it focus on the bass. I just usually do that. It's a trick that I do with sort of the pluckier leads to get an idea of what the bass is going to feel like. Sometimes a melodic sequence doesn't work till you've put the bass line in. You can feel like the energy that's coming from it. So that's the reason I do that, and I usually do it with Pluck Stars if you are familiar. So let's duplicate this, and we'll layer up a mid bass on this one. So we've got Thornton. That's like a low bass. That's more of the... So really low. So that's like your driver one, that's what I previewed in the previous track. So I'm Just trying to find something that's mid-range. There we are. There we are. We'll have that one. And we'll turn the arpeggiator off. So that's really just to give you a good starting point if you're struggling with some bass patterns. And we're going to make a different pattern, so we'll focus on one bar. Okay, so up one octave. So I'm feeling that pattern there. Okay, let's use that pattern. So we'll copy that across. It's emphasizing some more of the offbeat areas. So that goes to A and that one goes to F. No, that goes to D and that goes to F. Right, so let's just have a listen to this just with the other bass. Alright, and then we are going to use a kick, and I think we'll use a kick drum from the FG Noise pack. Which is here, so I'll put a link on screen. I've done a review of this pack. It is extremely well put together, and you can see that from the why can't I hear? You can see that from the review that I did. Okay, we'll have kick number 2. Now, from what I remember, these kicks are in A, so I'm just going to get these and just put the root note to A, just so we've got everything in tune as we're not making this kick drum from scratch. Key. So set that to beat. There we are. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly go through here and put them roughly near -6 here. This is where I usually start on the gain staging decisions, just to stop things clipping. And I'm just going to quickly put some compression on here just to kind of get that kick nice and tidy. For around -6 dB reduction, just to get it under control there. Right, so let's have a listen to this one first. And we'll listen to it over one bar, so we've just got a constant tone. Okay, so it's got a good starting point. This needs a bit of work. So the beauty of this is we can head into Spire and we can change the tone. Let's give it some more. Turn down as well on the envelope here, the cutoff that's peeking through. And we could filter that in later. So it's not the ideal melodic sequence, to be honest, but you're starting to get the idea of how this is sounding. And we've done no processing on the bass line at all. We've just dragged and dropped these in and just changed the tone in Spire for the second one. And we've already got a good starting point. So let's give it some added depth. We are going to throw in a drum loop. That sounds good enough to me. So drag and drop and head over to the mixer, and we're just going to drop this volume as well. Let's just mute those for now. Okay, so that's giving it some added depth. It sounds quite nice. Let's add another sound in here from the pack. Now, one of my favourite is one of the sequenced ones, and this is part of the video as well. So if you're going to be buying the pack, you're going to get a 20-minute video as well. Stutter Pan is one of my favourites. It's just got an awesome sound to it. Just using the step sequencer, so there's nothing too fancy, but it's the modulation and the tone that sets the pace for this sound. So we're going to use 2 octaves on this one. And obviously it won't do that if we do it like this. Let's just quickly repeat this bass so we've just got one tone. We've still left the bass in G. I don't know how that's happened. I'm sure I highlighted everything. I must have undone it at some point. So let's just set everything to A. Right, there we are. See how much depth it adds already? And if we drag it so we've got some really low end in it. Absolutely epic sound. It's probably one of my best creations for this pack. Okay, and you can see how much depth it's already added. And finally, I'll just demonstrate a couple more of my favourite parts of the pack, and then we'll leave it there. So we've got a few effects in here, and I'm really liking stuff like Earthly One. I did preview this on my Instagram as a kind of sneak peek. And if you keep hold of it, you'll hear it in a second. So it's designed to give some more atmosphere and texture to a track, especially in the drop stage, because you've got like more things happening as that sound progresses. So that's my favourite effect. My favourite bass, now I think it's either Anjustic or the, I can't even see it on there. If I can find it, the Roller. I think the Roller is my favourite, just because it's so simple but so effective. And if you put a bit of that on, if you set it to step, put them on there, you've suddenly got this really nice. Put a bit of swing on there. You've already got the starting point for a track, and like I say, if you drag this down here, that's just a bit too low. Put that just with the kick. Just how much effect it already has. Let's take the swing off. We could have these here instead. So many opportunities for sound. So that's my favourite bass sound, and my favourite lead. Now it's either Hyper Cove or Good Feeling. So let's, you know what Good Feeling sounds like. It's got a really nice sound to it when it's filtered in. It sounds good. But Hyper Cove. It's just got that modern feel to it because I've used some of AM Sync in this to mimic some of the super saws. Just got such a nice sound. And off. There we are. So that is a quick look through the pack there, and as you can see, there are so many things to choose from. If acids are your thing, then let's head into acids. So some of these come pre-automated using the LFO here, so you can set the timing and how slow it takes. But you can turn this off, obviously, and just automate the cutoff yourself to desired effect. It's got more of a didgeridoo sound. So they are some of my favourite sounds. So if you're going to buy the pack, let me know in the comments down below. It's exclusive to Spire's store. Link is in the description, and hopefully you can create your next track using some of these presets. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.